Last week, President Cyril Ramaphosa reshuffled his cabinet in a bid to strengthen his administration's response to many challenges. Some experts in political parties believe the executive shake-up was necessary after South Africa's intelligence services failed to prevent the week-long unrest that erupted in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal last month. President Ramaphosa will this coming week appear at the State Capture Commission. To talk about this and more, we are joined by political analyst Levy Ndou. Mr. Ndou, very good morning. Good to speak to you. What can we expect from the President this coming week, or is it the Zondo Commission?
Good morning to you. Good morning to the viewers at home. I think there is a lot that we need to expect from the President. He still has to finalize his appearance as the Deputy President and President of the ruling party, the ANC. And that is the part that he should have finalized earlier when he appeared in the first instance. But this time, obviously, he has to appear in him being the Deputy President of the Republic and now as the President of the Republic. I think this is one important session of the Commission in the sense that, one, when all the allegations of state capture started to resurface, and whilst a lot of things were happening relating to state capture, in part of that period, President Ramaphosa was the Deputy President deputizing former President Zuma. Number two, President Ramaphosa was given the responsibility to run government business, and he was actually based in Parliament to deal with government activities. Obviously, we then need to know whether President Ramaphosa had a role on activities surrounding state capture, or in the main, whether he was a participant or an active participant in the activities relating to state capture, or he was also taken by surprise, like all of us. So that is the evidence that we actually need. What we also expect would be whether in his submission we should then be able to separate former President Zuma and Ramaphosa in the activities of state capture. And this or his evidence will then tell us whether some of the things happened behind his back or whether indeed he was an active participant in all these things.
Mr. Ndou, whichever way the President responds or the facts come out, it's not going to look good for him, because if he wasn't part and parcel of all that happened, then it would suggest that he might have slept on the job.
Well, indeed. I think also there are two factors that we need to look at. The first factor will be that as the Deputy President, you actually have to work hand in glove with the President. And on all matters that affect the state, or decisions or major decisions that have to be taken, in a normal setup, the President has to consult with the Deputy President. Hence, in South Africa, we talk of something called the President. Then there is another element, and this is the element that has to be tested, and it's very crucial. Whether there were decisions that were taken by former President Zuma alone and not involve the Deputy President. And I think this is the period where Ramaphosa has to come very open to the Commission and indeed to all of us, so that we should know what then actually happened. So that, you know, in most instances, there is always a finger that is being pointed at former President Zuma. And there is also a talk about the 9 wasted years. But we also need to know the major role players in all these activities. And this is the time for all of us to know. Another aspect that we cannot ignore is the fact that former President Zuma has taken a decision to participate in the activities of the Commission. But at this moment, we have, or we are fortunate, to have a person who was a deputy, both in the party and in government. And indeed, in the last days of the commission, this is the right time for all of us to actually know exactly what happened.
I suppose something also to note is that the unraveling did not happen at the end of his tenure. It was ongoing, on various ongoing discoveries. Now, the president, when he did appear before the Zondo Commission, he told the commission that the party could have done more to combat corruption. Was he accepting liability or taking a measure of blame there?
Well, I think the president has, on numerous occasions, on behalf of himself and indeed on behalf of his party, has actually made comments that seek to suggest that indeed himself and his party are to blame. Hence, in one of the statements, President Ramaphosa said, if we talk about the State Capture Commission, the ANC is indeed on trial. So that actually would suggest to me that we don't necessarily have to point a finger at one individual, but indeed some or most of them, if not all, might have actually known or participated in one way or another in the activities of state capture. So I think honesty at the end of the day would be able to save the day and actually take us to another level in terms of dealing with corruption in South Africa. But for me, the main issues is that his role in the state capture, what he knew or what he did not know, would become very crucial, would also be able to assist DCJ Zondo and the commission to be able to move forward very easily.
So what is the impact of the president coming clean and saying either he did not know or that he knew but either turned a blind eye or was unable to act?
Well, firstly, as I've indicated earlier, there would be an impact, obviously, but I think it is important for President Ramaphosa not to act in his personal interest. I think it's important for President Ramaphosa to act in the interest of all of us. That, I think, he would have a potential to save his party, the ANC, and also to save South Africans in general. There is also a saying, Hugo, that says that when people are doing wrong things, they actually do that secretly, in darkness, and ensure that they are not being seen. If indeed certain things happened whilst he was not aware, he must actually come out clean. But if he knew that certain things were going on and did not do anything, it also points a finger at him and it talks to his credibility as an individual. But what I like about the revelations we got is that whilst he was speaking on behalf of the ANC or representing the ANC, he did indicate that the ANC should have actually done better in order to avert some of the things that actually took place. I think that is the honesty that we need. But also, for me, the revelation from the highest official of government must also then be able maybe to provide recommendations or the way forward on the part of the commission on how best are we supposed to behave and do things differently in order to save South Africans from the demon of corruption.
Now, obviously, in light of a new term of office on the horizon, the cabinet reshuffle that we've just seen, is this part of the president's strategy, if you will, to come clean and look good before South Africa, seemingly to act accordingly, particularly ahead of his presence at the Zondo Commission this week?
Well, I always maintain that the cabinet reshufflement by President Ramaphosa was a forced one. and it was mainly influenced by circumstances. Three factors. One is that the minister in the presidency, Jackson Mthembu, passed on. Number two, Zweli Mkhize resigned from his ministerial position, and there were always constant requests by the Minister of Finance to also be removed from office. Lastly, we had a very unfortunate situation in South Africa of looting and burning of the infrastructure in South Africa. That required something to happen. And that is why those are the main areas that were actually touched in relation to cabinet reshufflement. But also at the same time, politicians in their own nature would always behave in a manner where they ensure that in their leadership there is stability, and they are also surrounded by people that they can trust, so that their government is able to move on to move towards a particular direction or a particular period of time. So cabinet reshufflement everywhere else is influenced by a number of factors. Stability being one of those, service delivery being one of those. But in South Africa, we are even more luckier that ministers submit their performance reports, and that has got an impact, or it influences cabinet reshufflement. But either way, if you look at it in the context of President Ramaphosa building stability and authority within his government, then that is what most people do. And every leader would love to see stability in his cabinet or government.
Mr. Ndou, finally, state security. The president has now taken that over to win the office of the presidency. What do we read into that?
Well, this is one area where, when the president made an announcement on cabinet reshufflement, he went further to say, or to justify his actions by saying that this is a practice that happens everywhere, or in most countries. And also that is within his constitutional responsibilities to do so. And obviously, some or many people will see it as a sign of saying that he wants to be in control and know everything that is happening on matters relating to security. But on the other hand, which is the view that I also share, would be that maybe he should have just independently given it to somebody else, who must then on a regular basis report to the president on matters of security. But either way, government would always have an arm that has to deal with security, and the president as the head of state would always be involved on matters of security. Well, these are trying times in South Africa. Something happened which has actually raised eyebrows to all of us in the country. Maybe Ramaphosa has seen this as the best option to take the presidency and put it right in his office. We'll have to wait and see whether that was the best decision, or whether that would also backfire. But if it's in the interest of all of us, well, then he should go for it. But if it has got disadvantages, obviously he must have to relook at it and then reconsider his decision.
Mr. Ndou, I appreciate your time this morning. That was political analyst Levy Ndou. We were having a conversation about the president's appearance at state capture later on this week.